before Pixar, before Cartoon Network, before animation became digital, glossy, and global, there was a studio that proved one powerful idea. You don't need perfect animation to create perfect characters. On television screens with fuzzy signals and wooden cabinets, millions of families gathered every weekend. Not for live action, but for talking dogs, futuristic families, and bears smarter than humans around them. This wasn't Disney. This wasn't theatrical animation. This was Hanna-Barbera, a studio born from rejection, built on limitations, and powered by imagination. When movie studios abandoned animation, two creators refused to let it die. Instead of fighting the future, they reinvented it, crafting cartoons specifically for television, where storytelling, voice acting, and personality mattered more than how many frames were drawn. They gave us a Stone Age dad struggling with modern problems, teenagers solving mysteries with a cowardly Great Dane, a future where flying cars existed. But family problems stayed the same. For over 3 decades, Hanna-Barbera didn't just dominate TV animation, they defined it. But behind the laughter, the catchy theme songs, and the endless reruns was a creative gamble that changed entertainment forever. This is a story of how a small studio with limited budgets reshaped pop culture, and why its influence still echoes through every animated show you watch today. Welcome to Cinema Uncovered. Before Hanna-Barbera became an animation empire, it was simply a partnership between two men with very different strengths. William Hanna was a director and producer, deeply focused on timing, efficiency, and storytelling rhythm. Joseph Barbera was an artist and writer, skilled in character design, visual humor, and expressive drawing. They met in the late 1930s at Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, one of Hollywood's most powerful studios at the time. At MGM's animation department, the two were paired together, and the chemistry was immediate. In 1940, they created Tom and Jerry. Unlike other cartoon rivals of the era, Tom and Jerry relied heavily on visual comedy, precise timing, minimal dialogue. The result was a series that worked globally across language and culture. Between 1943 and 1953, Tom and Jerry won 7 Academy Awards for Best Animated Short Film, making Hanna-Barbera one of the most decorated animation teams in history. But success in theaters didn't guarantee security. By the early 1950s, audience habits were changing. Television was entering American homes at a rapid pace, and theatrical short cartoons were becoming less profitable. In 1957, MGM shut down its animation studio entirely. Overnight, Hanna-Barbera lost their platform, but not their experience. Instead of trying to recreate theatrical animation, they made a critical decision. They would build animation for television, not theaters. That decision would reshape the industry. After MGM shut down its animation studio in 1957, Hanna-Barbera faced a crossroads. Many animators would have seen this as the end of their careers, but they had a different vision. Instead of chasing theatrical budgets that were disappearing, they decided to start their own studio for television. Hanna-Barbera Productions officially launched in July 1957 in Hollywood, California. It was a small operation, fewer animators, fewer resources, but Hanna-Barbera had one advantage: experience, creativity, and a clear understanding of storytelling. The challenge was immense. Television budgets were tiny compared to theatrical cartoons. A typical theatrical short cost thousands of dollars per minute to produce. TV budgets demanded something radically different: faster, cheaper, but still entertaining. This necessity birthed what would become known as limited animation. Limited animation was controversial at the time. Studios like Disney criticized it for being cheap or unfinished. But Hanna-Barbera saw it differently. They focused on story, character, and timing rather than fluid, frame-by-frame animation. Some of the techniques included reusing backgrounds instead of drawing every frame from scratch, recycling character movements like walking cycles, emphasizing dialogue and voice acting to carry emotion, and humor using bold, expressive character designs so even a static image could convey personality. The first major test of this approach came with the Huckleberry Hound show, which premiered in 1958. Huckleberry Hound was a calm, southern-drawl blue dog who took on every job imaginable, often with comically disastrous results. It wasn't flashy, but it was funny, and audiences responded. Remarkably, the Huckleberry Hound show became the first animated series to win an Emmy Award, proving that TV animation could be both popular and critically acclaimed. This success also demonstrated a crucial lesson. You don't need to budget a theatrical cartoon to make a character resonate. Hanna-Barbera had essentially invented a new medium, television animation that could entertain kids, attract families, and be produced quickly enough to meet the growing demand of weekly TV schedules. The studio's efficiency allowed them to experiment with dozens of new ideas, paving the way for iconic shows like Yogi Bear, Quick Draw McGraw, and the Flintstones. Each of these shows carried the hallmarks of Hanna-Barbera's approach: limited animation, strong, relatable characters, catchy theme songs, humor that worked for children and adults alike. By the early 1960s, Hanna-Barbera had transformed from a small post-MGM experiment into the dominant force in television animation, a studio that would define Saturday mornings for generations. Their innovation wasn't just about saving money. It was about reimagining storytelling in a medium that had never existed before, and proving that television could be as culturally significant as cinema. Hanna-Barbera's innovative limited animation techniques allowed the studio to produce a staggering number of shows, sometimes over a dozen new series in a single year, while maintaining consistent quality and humor. This era became what many call the golden age of Hanna-Barbera, marked by creativity, experimentation, and an enduring cultural impact. In 1960, Hanna-Barbera did something unprecedented. They created the Flintstones, the first animated series to air in prime time on American television. Inspired by the sitcom The Honeymooners, the Flintstones depicted the everyday lives of Fred and Wilma Flintstone in the Stone Age world, complete with dinosaurs as household appliances and cars powered by foot. The show was revolutionary because it appealed to adults as well as children. It tackled relatable issues like work, family, and marriage. It introduced long-form storytelling in animated television. Despite being a cartoon, the Flintstones earned critical acclaim and garner high ratings, proving that animation didn't have to be just for Saturday mornings. Following the success of Huckleberry Hound, Hanna-Barbera expanded their repertoire with Yogi Bear, debuting in 1958 as part of the Huckleberry Hound show before receiving his own series in 1961. Yogi Bear was clever, mischievous, and endlessly charming, traits that made him instantly memorable. Hanna-Barbera's genius lay in making characters a central focus, rather than relying solely on gag-driven plots. Catchphrases like, "Hey, boo-boo," became part of the cultural lexicon, and merchandise opportunities, from lunchboxes to toys, became a key revenue stream. In 1962, Hanna-Barbera brought the future to television with the Jetsons, a show set in a world of flying cars, robotic maids, and high-tech gadgets. The Jetsons mirrored the Flintstones structurally, but instead of a prehistoric backdrop, it projected contemporary family life into a futuristic fantasy. The show's humor came from the clash between everyday problems, parenting, work, and social life, and a world filled with absurd technological inventions. Though initially less successful than the Flintstones, the Jetsons became a cultural icon, symbolizing the 1960s vision of the future. In 1969, Hanna-Barbera launched Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?, a series that would redefine children's television. Scooby-Doo introduced a formula that became instantly recognizable: a group of teenagers solving mysteries, a cowardly but lovable dog, comedy blended with suspense. Unlike previous cartoons, Scooby-Doo was carefully designed to avoid violence, a response to growing concerns from parents and advocacy groups in the late 1960s. Scooby-Doo's enduring success proved that Hanna-Barbera could adapt to societal changes while keeping entertainment fun, accessible, and culturally relevant. During this period, Hanna-Barbera didn't just create shows. They created a production model that changed television. Tight schedules and small budgets pushed creativity over complexity. Emphasis on character and dialogue influenced all future TV cartoons. They pioneered syndication, making their shows accessible worldwide. By the end of the 1960s, Hanna-Barbera had created some of the most recognizable characters in animation history. Their shows weren't just cartoons, they were social touchstones, shaping childhoods and influencing pop culture for decades. The golden age wasn't just about output, it was about legacy. The innovations of this era laid the foundation for everything from Saturday morning blocks to modern animated sitcoms. By the early 1970s, Hanna-Barbera had become a cultural powerhouse. Their characters were everywhere: TVs, toys, lunchboxes, comic books, even clothing. But success brought scrutiny. Critics and professional animators began questioning the studio's methods. The same techniques that allowed Hanna-Barbera to produce dozens of shows quickly and affordably, limited animation, repeated backgrounds, simplified movement, were now seen by some as a compromise in quality. Studios like Disney and animators in Hollywood argued that Hanna-Barbera shows lacked fluidity, depth, and artistry, calling them cheap cartoons. Yet, despite criticism, audiences didn't seem to care. Children loved the characters. Networks loved the ratings. And Hanna-Barbera had proven that storytelling, timing, and personality mattered more than frame count. The 1970s brought new challenges. Audience expectations evolved. Children wanted faster pacing, richer visuals, and more complex stories. Competitors emerged. Studios like Filmation and Ruby Spears, along with renewed Disney TV efforts, began producing higher quality animation. Social concerns increased. Characters like Fred Flintstone, Scooby-Doo, and Yogi Bear continued to appear in new shows, movies, and merchandise, proving that the creativity and charm of the studio's early years had lasting power. The decline wasn't due to a lack of talent or ideas. It was a combination of evolving audience tastes, corporate pressures, industry competition. Hanna-Barbera's story shows that even revolutionary innovation can face limits. Yet their influence had already reshaped television animation forever. Even after the studio's decline in the 1980s and its acquisition by Turner Broadcasting in 1991, Hanna-Barbera's impact on animation was far from over. The characters, stories, and production philosophy developed by William Hanna and Joseph Barbera continue to shape television, film, and pop culture for decades. Fred Flintstone, Yogi Bear, Scooby-Doo, Huckleberry Hound, and countless others became cultural icons, appearing in feature films like The Flintstones 1994 and Scooby-Doo 2002 reboots and animated specials on modern networks, merchandise, toys, and comic books around the world. These characters prove that good storytelling and strong personalities can outlast trends, budgets, or animation style. Hanna-Barbera's techniques and philosophy are visible in every corner of contemporary animation, Cartoon Network and Adult Swim. Hanna-Barbera's focus on character-driven humor-inspired shows like Dexter's Laboratory, The Powerpuff Girls, and Adventure Time. Limited animation's legacy. While technology has evolved, the principle of prioritizing storytelling over sheer frame count remains a cornerstone of television animation. Genre innovation. Scooby-Doo's blend of comedy and mystery, the Flintstones' primetime sitcom format, and the Jetsons' sci-fi family themes paved the way for adult-oriented cartoons and experimental series worldwide. Beyond animation, Hanna-Barbera shaped how people think about childhood, nostalgia, and family entertainment. Their shows taught humor, problem-solving, and friendship. They offered a window into contemporary life, from 1960s suburban ideals to futuristic fantasies. They created a shared cultural vocabulary, from Yogi Bear's "Hey Boo Boo" to Scooby-Doo Scooby-Dooby-Doo, phrases that persist across generations. Hanna-Barbera proved that animation could dominate an entire medium, enter primetime television, build characters as iconic as live-action stars, even as the studio faded. Its DNA lies on the shows we watch, the networks we enjoy, and the stories that continue to inspire creators today. William Hanna and Joseph Barbera didn't just make cartoons. They created a blueprint for an entire industry, one that showed imagination could thrive under constraints, that character could trump budget, and that television could be a home for art as enduring as any movie theater classic. And so, their influence endures, not just in the laughter of children, not just in nostalgia for Saturday mornings, but in every animated show that dares to be bold, funny, and unforgettable. Interesting trivias. Tom and Jerry won 7 Academy Awards for Best Animated Short Film between 1943 and 1953, making Hanna and Barbera one of the most decorated animation duos ever. The Flintstones was the first primetime animated sitcom, debuting in 1960, predating even The Simpsons by 30 years. Hanna-Barbera pioneered limited animation for television reusing backgrounds and minimizing frame-by-frame movement to produce shows faster and cheaper. The Huckleberry Hound Show was the first animated TV series to win an Emmy Award in 1960. Scooby-Doo was originally conceived as a replacement for violent cartoons in response to parents' concerns, featuring a cowardly dog and mystery-solving teens. Yogi Bear first appeared as a supporting character in the Huckleberry Hound Show before getting his own series in 1961. The Jetsons originally aired in prime time in 1962, but only lasted one season. It became far more popular in reruns during the 1980s. Hanna-Barbera created over 150 animated series during its original studio era, an unmatched output in TV animation history. Many of their characters' voices were performed by a small team, with legendary voice actor Dawes Butler voicing Huckleberry Hound, Yogi Bear, Quick Draw McGraw, and many others. The Flintstones was inspired by the Honeymooners, adapting the sitcom structure to a prehistoric world. Hanna-Barbera's characters helped define Saturday morning cartoons, turning them into a cultural institution for decades. Turner Broadcasting acquired Hanna-Barbera in 1991, eventually merging it into Warner Brothers. But their characters and shows continue to influence animation worldwide. Which Hanna-Barbera character shaped your childhood the most? Fred Flintstone, Scooby-Doo, or maybe Yogi Bear? Comment below and share your memories. If you enjoyed this deep dive, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more stories behind the films, shows, and studios that shaped cinema and culture. This has been Cinema Uncovered, where nostalgia meets storytelling.